I'll start the ball rolling. Brian, can you update all of the participants because I was running short on presentation time at the overall session about what forms and so forth are required on the for the SSC over the year?
Yes. Yeah, this will be a kind of a repeat for the ones who are in the treasurer group, but yeah, no, basically the key forms that the squadron needs to be aware of is, first of all, the ACC 9, which is the Air Cadet form. And that form becomes the basis for a lot of other reporting forms. You need to file an annual return with ISC. That's where financial statements are required, whether if you're under the 25,000 income level, you can file your own returns, or if you're over 25,000, you will likely need a review done by an accountant. But that's where they can use the numbers from the ACC 9 to do that. And you have to file the annual return, which also updates not just the financial information, but the director's information for the squadron for that year. Again, if you have a charity number, that's where you need to file a 3010 form with CRA. It's a charity return. And again, you can use the ACC 9 to give you the numbers needed to complete that form, along with more details about what charity receipts you issued, and again, who the directors are for the squadron for the upcoming year. And then if you have a charity number, you're then eligible to apply for a rebate back on all the GST that you paid during the year. You can get 50% of your GST back for charity nonprofits. So you need to submit that form, and it's on a 6-month period basis. So that's the provincial and federal government forms. A couple other forms you need to be aware of is if you're one of the 6 or 8 squadrons that received the SASC Sport grant, community grant. This is where usually by the end of November, you have to complete a report for them saying how you spent the money that you received from them. And that's a very important form to get sent in, because if you don't, you'll then run the risk of losing the grant forever. So this is a legacy grant from a long time ago. You don't want to risk losing it by not getting the paperwork done. And then finally, if that's not enough, you got LSA grants. This is money from D&D that they hand out to the squadrons. This is where you need to work with your CEO, get them the receipts they need for eligible expenses, and then the CEO submits it to Winnipeg, and they can get reimbursed for any eligible expenses up to the squadron allocation limit. And this is where, because a lot of squadrons forget to send in this request, it usually means there's extra funds left over that your squadron, if you send in excess receipts, you might actually get a bonus later on after the first allocation. So you definitely need to work with your CEO. The deadline for that was November 30th, but that's where if your squadron didn't get anything in, work with the CEO, get them to send something in, and that you still may be eligible to get money. Now, you might have to get some good excuses why you're late, but it's better than not applying at all for it. And I believe that's LSA. Was it Local Support Allocation Funds? I believe is the acronym for that.
I just mentioned, Brian, in our meeting with the RCSU, which is the Regional Cadets Support Unit out of Winnipeg. They had just shared some information, and I think it was followed up with the email that I shared to our directors, that they're actually changing a little bit of what qualifies to be an LSA payable piece. And so it's imperative that the squadron speak with the CEO relative to the types of expenses, because if you're paying rent, or you have phone bills, or you have other bills that normally you would be paying yourself, check with the CEO and determine if you should send it in. And actually, probably the best approach here is to assume everything is payable and submit all of them to the RCSU through your CO and let them make the judgment, because there's not a lot of clarity right now on what's going to be covered and what's not. But they do have a lot of excess funds that they want to spend. And so it would be to your benefit to send in all the bills you can think of and see what they'll cover, you know?
Well, like based on my experiences dealing with our 41's LSA, where I'm associated with 41, they don't cover things like guns or rifles or weapons related items. That's not included. They haven't been reimbursing anything related to virtual training activities. I'm not sure the reason for that, with the big emphasis on virtual training the last 2 years, but I know they refuse to reimburse our cost for the software to have a virtual classroom. Also, they don't include the provincial league assessment fees. I know in one memo it was included, but that was a very short-lived item. The next time around, I noticed that was clearly taken off the list, any provincial assessment fees. And also any computer-related equipment. That's where they've been humming and hawing on that. 2 years ago, I know we had computers approved. Last year, we submitted a receipt for a couple of laptops for use in training classrooms. They didn't allow it. It sounds like it might be back on the list again, but I'll find out when we get the results back from our last LSA submission. We added some computer overhead projectors, and supposedly they're going to allow it, but I'll wait till I see the actual check.
Yeah, I think based on the conversation and the presentation that they gave us, my sense was that they're wondering about the fundraising activities and having cadets engaged in that activity. And so they're reassessing what they're going to cover. And I think certain things, like if you're fundraising for scholarships or other things like that, they may not allow cadets to participate in things like that, depending on what the fundraising activity is for. But conversely, the sense was, whatever you're doing all that fundraising for, we have this fund and you should just submit everything that you can. So I think right now, Brian, my advice would be anything that wasn't covered before, just send it in anyways, because I think they have made some changes and they're not really clear on what will or won't be covered. And so it's probably easiest to just send it all in and then let them tell you, no, not this one or that one. That
just make sure make sure you send excess receipts in, though, just so that if they do deny some, you still got enough receipts to cover off the rest.
Exactly.
I know in the past, one of the major expenses we used for LSA was providing additional meals for cadets in our training activities, especially when we went to SaskCadet. We would use the MREs half the time and then provide other normal food for the other half the time, and they would cover that under LSA. But with the last 2 years, with no training activities, and actually D&D has been paying for food for even the local day activities where they hadn't done that before. I know we've actually been kind of stretching it, trying to come up with how we can get reimbursed for LSA money, because we just haven't had much expenses. The key ones we have now is like for taking the cadets out on a sport activity like bowling or swimming. That can qualify for LSA.
So Brian, I have a question. When it comes to submitting the documents for LSA, do you get those back from D&D?
Yes, typically we get back. I always make copies of them.
Yeah, because that was my question. If you need to have copies, original copies for income tax purposes or whatnot, how, like, should the squadrons maybe structure their year end so that they have their original receipts back?
Yeah, usually I make sure, like anything I give to the CO, I would make a copy of it, and then I keep that for our audit, because normally we don't get the receipts back until afterwards, after our audit is done. Normally I haven't had any problems from our auditor. Usually, as long as I got copies of the receipts, they can verify our expenses that way. But yeah, D&D, they do typically require the original receipts, and they may also ask for proof of payment. They may ask you for canceled checks to show that that receipt has been paid as well. They've been kind of getting picky that way the last couple of years.
I think one area that may be open to, which would be training aids. So if the CO has a desire for other training aids like flight simulators or, you know, networked computers and other things like that, that it may be beneficial to have the CO make inquiries like that to see what's on the table in terms of equipment support for any activities in the squadron. There may be a change in their thinking in this area as well.
Yeah, I know the last year or two, they've been making changes in their philosophy, what they cover or not. Like I said, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago, they actually covered the cost of 2 used laptops for our cadets to use in teaching classrooms. Last year, we bought another couple used laptops from SKACL. They wouldn't allow that reimbursement last summer. Now, if they're changing again, that's kind of one of the gray areas. If your squadron is planning to make a purchase with the hope of getting reimbursement, I would suggest you get the CO to contact their contact in Winnipeg just to verify beforehand if they actually will approve it or not.
Thanks, Brian. Gary, do you want to expand any on the drone option and stuff right now?
Yeah, well, there have been on the league side some conversations about squadrons purchasing drones and what would be covered by insurance. And so actually the league is working on a blanket drone coverage. So if a squadron purchased drones, then there would be an associated cost with each drone you purchase for liability insurance. Some of it is based on the size of the drone and also the use of it. So if you're inside of a closed structure and you're just flying it around the open area like a gym or wherever you might be, I don't think that you would require insurance for that potentially. But if you're starting to have cadets go out and fly around outside, there are some liability clauses there. So if you were to buy a drone for the squadron for their use, then you would have to advise league so that we could then ensure that the appropriate insurance coverage is there. And this is a work in progress, but it is something that they're wanting to do. There was an inquiry about, aside from drones, some squadrons have the small planes that they go and fly the planes around, and I don't think there's any insurance on that. So that was a question that came up in one of our meetings, and they're going to get clarification if, you know, flying the small planes, remote control planes, would be the same as flying a drone relative to coverage and that type of thing. So wouldn't hurt to check through your CO if maybe a drone purchase would fall under LSA. D&D has been discussing this, and I don't know if they've got a clear position on where they are, but some squadrons do own drones now, and this is just one of the things that we've been looking at League in terms of understanding how many are out there, And what would our, I think the cost per drone for a year's worth of liability insurance was something like $80, something like that. So that's something to be aware of going forward. And yeah.
702 Squadron has been looking into getting into doing some drones. The officers have checked, and DND has limited the size that they allow for the cadets to have with drones is the first thing. But yeah, there will be more information coming out. Richard, when you were talking initially, you were talking about the Constitution, yes, and that we have samples available. And this was brought up because a long time ago, we had a couple different squadrons that had constitutions. Some of them were so old it was unreal. One squadron had a constitution that was 36 pages long. Nobody could read it and understand it. Like Richard said, keep it short, keep it simple. Get a hold of Richard. He can help you out. It's a very important constitution to keep it short, keep it simple, and keep it current. We recommend reviewing it every 5 years. Thanks, guys.
I think we actually have produced a generic constitution for squadrons to use relative to incorporation. So if you're not incorporated, there is a package that exists for squadrons to complete and through Brian's assistance, get incorporated and then potentially move to the next level, which would be to get your charitable status. So you can.
And where do we find that information, please, Gary? Because we've been asking at 574 for quite some time.
I'll let Brian answer that.
Right? There we are.
You're looking for the sample constitution?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, between Richard or myself, oh, actually, who's speaking here?
It's Kari.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm speaking on behalf of 574 because I know that we've been looking for that for quite a while at 574.
You've got it, Kari, from when we set you up originally.
I cannot find it, Larry.
Oh, I'll send you a copy.
All right. Thank you.
And just keep in mind that sample constitution is just a sample. This is where you can feel free to make adjustments to it however you feel it's appropriate within reason. Like if I remember right, in that constitution, it talks about you need 2 signing authorities, but the treasurer could be one of them. Whereas some squadrons, they have it where the 2 signing authorities and none of them can be the treasurer. The treasurer just prepares the checks, and you have to have 2 other signing authorities to sign the checks. So that's where you can make some revisions along those lines.
So yes, if we could get Larry's copy and the new sample, because I'm assuming the one Larry's sending us we've been in existence 5, 6, 7 years. So I'm going to think that one's quite old. So if we could get the new sample one and compare the 2 and get this figured out finally, that would be appreciated. And if there's any other bylaws or anything in regards to investments, all of that kind of stuff, if we can get any bylaws as well, because we're literally starting from ground zero, and I'm assuming we're not the only ones out there that could benefit from those.
I think we could put this on the Google Drive in a common shared area, right? And so then you could go and download whatever you need. I think that's the best solution, but
That is, because I don't think all of this needs to be necessarily out in the public realm unless you want it to be, I guess. But I think the Google Drive would be a great place to, and then letting squadrons know where they are.
That's a great idea, Gary, and we will do that for sure. And Bonnie, it's just make sure that when you're setting up the Constitution, you don't make yourself too restrictive. You just you set it up, and actually, as you were talking about, the bylaws are the things that are very easy to change. You can actually, and if you want to make it even easier to change your bylaws, you actually just call them policies and procedures, and you can change a policy and a procedure at a meeting, or a bylaw you generally need to change it at an annual meeting. So don't paint yourself into too tight of a corner.
No, absolutely. That's why I've been asking for those samples so we can figure out which is the best. I work for a municipality, so I'm quite familiar with those pieces, but just looking for some samples so we're not having to reinvent the wheel if it's already out there. Like I said, we're not the only ones that we talked about this on the financial side. There's how many other squadrons out there who could benefit. So if we can, you know, work through it and make suggestions back on tweaks and things, others can benefit from the work that's being done.
Thanks. That's a great suggestion.
Just to check in, did everybody get their Frisbees? Or how many areas do we still have Frisbees to go? Just put your hand up if you have received Frisbees in your squadron, just so we can see who on here has them. And then you could comment on, are they okay or not? Gary Cromwell, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them. I haven't actually seen them yet, but we have them.
Okay. Well, I think one of the ideas with them was you could print out a card or some contact information that you could tape on the underside of the Frisbee. So when you give them out, people would have the contact information for the squadron, and then you'd be in a position where they'd be able to contact the squadron, get information on bringing their child in to sign up for a cadet. That was one of the ideas behind it.
Gary, I just uploaded the Microsoft Word document for the Constitution sample. So it's in the chat. You can anyone can download it directly from the chat section.
All right.
Now, just one other thing I could think of is National still requiring us to add that clause in saying that we need to follow their rules in our future constitutions?
I asked about the affiliation agreement between the provincial league and each squadron at the last AG, or I guess the semi-annual meeting of national with all the provinces, and I managed to sneak the question in before they before we broke off, and I guess they didn't have it ready. So I was told that it will be coming shortly. It's still not yet available, but it should be coming anytime in the near future. My sense of it is it's just going to be like a one-page document. The squadron will sign indicating that their operation is affiliated with the league, provincial league, and there's a relationship between the squadron and the league relative to operations. And really, it's nothing different than what we're doing now, but it just formalizes it, and that so that the incorporated squadron, which is a standalone entity, has a responsibility and a relationship with the provincial league. And that's really all this document is doing. It informally exists, but this would be formalizing that relationship so it fits in with the CRA concept and everything. Then each province has signed a similar affiliation agreement with the National League so that there's alignment between national and the province. And now there's will be that same formal relationship between the provincial league and each squadron. In essence, that's how it is. It's been operating like this, but CRA just wants to have the formal relationship documented. So as I say, that affiliation agreement, which I'm assuming is a one-pager, will come sometime. I did not get a commitment on when, but it is coming down the pipe.
Bob Fenner, you had a question?
No, I just got more of a comment to everybody. We at our squadron have like the files and stuff like that. I know you can upload them to Google and stuff like that. I'm just suggesting to folks out there that maybe get an external hard drive load them up to Google, and also put them on an external hard drive, because just to back up your files, because our computer did crash and we lost some of them. So just a CYA comment. That's about it.
Good point. And as you said, an external backup hard drive is a good tool to run at your with your squadron information for sure.
The other nice thing about that is when you change secretaries, all the information just moves over to the next computer as your operator.
And if you do it right, the LSA might cover that. Just saying.
Richard, did you want to do a bit of a roundtable with our participants just to get a sense of what they thought about today, and if they have any other comments? That might be not a bad way to end this session.
Sure. I'll call on you, and if you can verbally just give us what you thought and what you think we can do better, it would be awesome. I'm going to call on Robert Belanger first.
Hello. No, just good comments all around. This was a good presentation. You know, much like all the other squadrons, we're basically suffering from the lack of volunteers and SSC committee people constantly in the search and stuff like that. Hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I think that's just the fact of life with COVID and everything else. But no, things are going decently well for our squadron, at least.
Again, I'm not just to you, but I encourage everybody to review how we did it and what we can do better. It's our first crack at it, and I definitely struggled.
And just if you could, when you comment, just tell us the squadron name and number, because we won't know where everybody's coming from. Richard's sort of knows that more or less by heart, but some of us don't. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, sorry, I apologize. I meant to say 186 Squadron, Lloydminster.
Thanks, Robert. Gary Cromwell from 574.
Hello. No, we're doing okay. Still getting fundraiser stuff going, and finally had our first little executive meeting the other day with our captain in person, and looking forward to hopefully still being able to do that in the new year.
What did you think of the training session today?
Enjoyable. It's really good.
Thanks. Wayne Goldfinch. I think Wayne stepped away. Jay, what was your thoughts? Jay Shaw?
No, I think that was good. From the Google G Suite or Google Drive or YouTube side, just a general comment of if anyone has any questions. I posted the tutorial link for YouTube in the chat. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at jays@skacl.ca.
Thanks, Jay. Adele Steinhardt.
Just a word, muting and unmuting your mic is normally in the bottom left corner. So if you just click on the little microphone icon, it will turn on and off the mic.
Richard, I'm back.
Okay. Okay, Wayne.
Yeah, little technical difficulty. This was a good presentation today for the first time. I think it's excellent. It would have been nice to see more people attending. Very pleased to see the attendance from 574. Something I just want to mention, when I was chairperson at 568 Wynyard, you greeted the new parents in September, and I made my point that we need help. We need volunteers to keep a good squadron running, and maybe it's something I shouldn't have said, but I told them, I says, we're not a babysitting service. We need help. Then the ones that came back for the next meetings were the people you could rely on. If you ask for volunteers, they're hesitant, but you can watch people and see who you think would be good at different positions. If you approach them, yes, they're willing to help. So that was my approach, and it seemed to work. And thank you to Michelle today. This was excellent.
Thanks, Wayne. I'll go to Larry next. Larry Sinnott.
Okay. Yes, it was a good presentation. The sound was good. Pictures were good. Yeah. Thanks to Michelle. It's great to have him looking after this. I look forward to hearing the other two tape recordings to go over it and to see what else was brought up there. There's always good information that comes out, and no matter what meeting we go to. This is sort of based on the Monday and Tuesday night meetings of our SSC, where we don't get into his depth, but we want more input. A lot of you recognize the names in that from these meetings. We've got 13 SSC representatives here. It's not a great turnout. We've got to figure out a way of getting more. I know December is not a good month, but there is no good month. It always seems to be something else. But we're on the right track. We just got to get more assistance to all the squadrons and find out a way of doing that. But a great job. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Larry. And you're right. We always hope for more, but got to start someplace, and we will definitely be doing more of these. Rhonda Harrison next. Okay, can't get Rhonda. Kari Hodges, any comments?
I do have a couple things to what Wayne said. Is if you actually approach someone and ask them to be part of the committee, they will. And another thing, that if you have cadets from a different culture, it is really wise to engage one of their parents and try to get them on the executive. When we stood up the squadron, we had a mom that did come to the squadron, and it really helps because you're able to go to them and say, in your culture, is this allowed? And you wouldn't even believe the funny things like eating vanilla. They can't have vanilla because there's alcohol in it. Well, who knew that? Little things like that. So that's just something for engage your parents that are of different cultures, and we have many of them. The other thing is kind of just for Jay or for everybody in general. On your SKACL accounts, I find that I get a limit of how many emails I can see, and then I can't see any beyond that. And I've missed some really important emails because of it. And I'm wondering why. I have 6 emails with 7 different companies across the globe because of the stuff that I do. And that's the only one that I can't get all of the emails. Jay?
There should be a button just to move on to the next page.
I know. We'll take this offline and I'll talk to you about it. Maybe
Sure,
not today,
sounds good. I
but,
can take a look. Yeah.
but yeah, for sure. Anyway, very good presentation today. I really did enjoy it. I as well look forward to watching all of the other ones that I wasn't in those breakout rooms. I think there was a lot of important information that came up, and thank you for holding this. Maybe next time, not the week before Christmas. I should be shopping, people. Just saying.
We're just saving you some money.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Thanks, Carrie. Matt Banbury, any comments on today's sessions?
I'm sorry, I arrived late. We'd got caught in some traffic before we get home to tune in. Sorry.
Okay, you get to watch it online. That's good.
Yeah, we'll watch it all online here.
Okay. Nitesh, Jan. Okay, basically, his comment was, I can't turn on my mic, but just want to say it was a really interesting presentation. That's great to hear. Melissa Hall from 38.
Hi, Richard. So I thought the session went really, really well today. Some really good information. I'm excited to watch the other videos for the treasurers and stuff. Like Kari said, the weekend before Christmas, this is the final push before people have Christmas. So unfortunately, I think that's part of the issue of not having too many people come. So I'm lucky I was able to at least, but I know part of our squadron wanted to be here, but that was the big issue.
Well, we'll definitely be doing more of these type of things, and now that we're feeling a little bit more comfortable doing it, we should be able to provide this opportunities more often. Thank you.
For sure.
Bonnie Gorlitzka.
Hi, great presentations today. Can't wait to see the rest. Glad that they're being recorded. We can go back and watch them multiple times. We can share them with new parents as they're coming on board. I think this is a really cost-effective way to bring training to those across the province. I think there is a cost obviously associated with providing this because we have Michelle and Jay, we have others online. It takes time to bring everybody together. It takes time for Richard to put all of this together. But I think reducing the cost for travel for everybody definitely makes it very accessible to many across the board. I do like the annual meetings that we have in January and the AGM in the fall. I think that's a great way to do the in-person stuff, but I think the in-between stuff, this is a fabulous way to present this to as many people as possible.
Thanks for your comments, and we'll continue to develop these, and for sure. Leona Stewart from Indian Head.
Hi, everyone. Leona Stewart, Treasurer for 691 Hawk Squadron in Indian Head. We remain with an amazing squadron, and we're really looking forward to another great training year. Meeting in person is helpful. Brian Ludwig's offered another great presentation again, so I'm really looking forward to those training videos for treasurers. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita, I'm sorry if I mess up your last name. Alestami.
Hi, my last name is pronounced Ilesami.
Ilesami, okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm so excited and I learned a lot. This is a great training. I'm actually an accountant and having to volunteer, this is my first time of doing the treasury work with Air Cadet. I love the team I'm working with, and I also want to say a big shout out to Larry. He's here. He's my mentor. He's been very helpful. I look forward to the videos and look forward to working with this great team. Thank you so much for the training.
Rita,
thank you for your time. 702 Lane Squadron, Saskatchewan.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bob Benner, any further questions?
No, I just want to say it was a great job. Only suggestion is maybe for everybody's got the same problem with the volunteers. Is you had a great part, and I'm sorry I was late because I had a medical call I went to, but I got to the part where you guys were talking about volunteers. If we could have kind of a video that we could maybe when we're having a parent meeting or something like that, we could actually put that up and show them the information and that type of stuff. And maybe that'll help also get some of the parents to become more involved in volunteering because they don't understand, don't know what's expected. And this way we could kind of present it at a meeting, general meeting. Otherwise, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to looking at the other parts. And I think this should be, I'm going to suggest to our group anyhow, that maybe any new committee member comes on board, it's kind of mandatory that they take this course because it's very, very helpful. Thank you. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays.
Thanks, Bob. I like your suggestion about maybe taking out parts of certain areas and just putting them into like a 10, 15-minute sections that you can take back to your SSC. We'll talk to somebody who's way smarter than me with this stuff with Michelle after and see what we can get done. But thank you for your comment. That's awesome. Carrie Thiessen from Nipwin.
Thank you guys again for all your awesome presentations. We definitely learn a lot more when we can find the information. So just a question is, are we going to get like a sample of the calendar that was spoken about? I believe that would be very helpful if we had some sort of documentation for that. And then also, because I was in the treasurer one, I'm not sure if it was touched on in the general breakout room, but the volunteer recruiting, retention, and recognition, I think is really huge. Also, if there's some sort of document that pertains to helping with conflict resolution, when you get multiple people in a group, we all do have the same goals in mind, but sometimes you do come across those conflicts. So that might be very helpful for SSCs to know how to navigate those situations.
Well,
But
Carrie,
you guys,
thanks for your input. I've just got 3 more maybe 10, 15-minute sessions we'll have to put up on the site and stuff. But no, that's great. They're real issues, and they're things we can help with the squadron. We're definitely going to. Thanks for your
Really
input.
good ideas, Carrie. Really good.
Tara Johnson from 34.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I thought this was great. You got to ask questions and get some answers, and I believe that the training video will be very helpful as well. I do have a question about the ACC 9. Could it be compatible with Google Docs?
Yeah, I think, yeah, someone had asked me that in the training session. I haven't tested it myself, but I'm probably 99% confident that it is not compatible, because the way they developed the ACC 9, there's a lot of programming in behind the scenes, and they have versions even running that spreadsheet on older versions of Excel. So I'm guessing it won't work too well in Google Sheets itself because of the programming behind the scenes.
Okay.
But that's something we can see if that's something they're willing to do at national, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I've got experience, I've done similar type of spreadsheets for other agencies, and yeah, no, it's the programming gets affected big time. But I'll check it out.
Perfect. Other than that, no, I thought this was great, and the training videos, and then being able to have, open conversation and questions, I think that it's very helpful as well. So thank you, guys.
Well, I hope I got everybody. Thank you for your comments. I'd also like to now publicly thank our technical support with Michelle. Again, you make us, as Curtis always says, you make us look good. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we can get these up. But again, with around Christmas time, we will send a notification out to the squadrons and the directors as soon as these videos are up and ready to go. And we thank you for your time. It's now 12:08. We've kept you 8 minutes longer than we intended to. So with that, I think on behalf of the Air Cadet League, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a great and safe holiday. And I think I'm done from my side, unless any of the executive has something to say.
The only thing I would comment on, Richard, it would be that the content of the slides will be available on the Google Drive. So if you want to look at each slide individually, you can, or if you want to glean information off them, they should be available to view there as well.
Thanks, everybody, and Merry Christmas. And again, thank you, Michelle. Well done, Richard. Well done. I hope you feel better soon. Gary and Brian and Curtis, good job. I truly appreciate it. Have an awesome Christmas, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, and enjoy your holidays. And hit the ground running in January.
Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thanks for coming and have a safe season. Bye.